He came home early to surprise his family.
Oh, my goodness.
But instead, a millionaire froze in shock when he saw the maid with his baby son. What happened next changed all their lives forever.
Oh, my goodness.
The marble floors of the Cole estate gleamed like mirrors as Adrian Cole stepped quietly into his home. The 37-year-old millionaire, dressed sharply in a snow-white suit and baby blue tie, had returned from Dubai 2 days ahead of schedule. His board of directors thought he was still overseas, immersed in contracts and deals. But Adrian had cut his trip short, craving something rarer than profit. The warmth of home, the presence of his infant son, Ethan. He didn't call ahead. He never did when he wanted to see the house in its natural state, to hear it breathe without his presence casting shadows over the staff. Usually, he returned to the hum of the butler Harvey directing quiet routines, to the gentle lullabies of Marissa, the seasoned nanny. But today, silence reigned. Only the faint trickle of water reached his ears. Adrian's polished shoes clicked down the hallway. He turned toward the kitchen and froze. There she was, Lila Grant, the new maid he had barely met in passing, stood at the sink. The pale lavender uniform clung to her slender frame, sleeves rolled up, auburn hair pinned in a messy but neat bun. The morning light spilled to the wide window, wrapping her in gold. And in the sink, cushioned in a plastic baby tub, lay Ethan, Adrian's 8-month-old son, squealing with delight. Lila was bathing him. His heart stopped. Her hands were steady, careful, as she poured warm water over Ethan's tiny belly, testing the temperature against her wrist, as though she'd done it 100 times. Ethan giggled when she tapped his nose with a wet cloth, and she responded with a soft smile, humming a lullaby that jolted Adrian's soul. Sienna's lullaby, his late wife's melody, one he hadn't heard since the day she died. Adrian's fist tightened. He hadn't given anyone permission to handle his son this way, least of all a maid. No one was allowed, not without Marissa present. This was a breach of trust, an insult, an outrage. And yet he couldn't move. His body was rooted, eyes locked on the scene. Ethan wasn't afraid. He wasn't uncomfortable. He was safe, happy. And Lila's face, it wasn't the mask of an employee. It was maternal, protective, tender in a way that ripped open memories of Sienna cradling Ethan in those fragile early months. Finally, the spell broke. Adrian stepped forward, his voice sharp. "What do you think you're doing?" Lila spun around, pale, startled. She clutched Ethan against her chest with a towel. "Sir, I can explain. Where's Marissa?" Adrian's tone cut like glass. "She's on leave, Mr. Cole. She wasn't expected back until Friday. I wasn't expected back until Friday either. Yet here I am. And what do I find? My son, in the kitchen sink, being handled by the maid." Her lips trembled. He had a fever last night. Mild, but he wouldn't stop crying. The thermometer was missing, and I didn't want to wait. I remembered warm water helping before, so I tried. I only wanted to calm him. I was going to tell you. Adrian's chest tightened. Fever? He hadn't known. Shouldn't someone have told him? He looked at Ethan, wrapped snugly in her arms, his little curls damp, cheeks flushed but peaceful. Still his pride flared. "I pay for the best care," Adrian said coldly. "I have nurses on call. You're a maid. You scrub floors, polish furniture. You don't touch my son." Tears welled in Lila's eyes. "I didn't mean harm. I swear." He was sweating, struggling. No one else was here. I couldn't ignore it. "Put him in his crib," Adrian ordered. "Then pack your things." Her voice broke. "You're firing me?" I'm not repeating myself. The words dropped like stones. Lila froze, then nodded, clutching Ethan one last time before laying him gently in his crib. She pressed her lips to his damp curls, whispering something only he could hear, before slipping away. Adrian stood in the doorway, his chest heaving. He had restored order, claimed control. So why did his gut twist with unease? Upstairs in the guest room, Lila packed her small suitcase. Her hands shook as she folded her uniform, tears dripping onto the fabric. She placed a worn photograph on top. Her younger brother Elijah, confined to a wheelchair, grinning up at her. He had suffered from epilepsy. She had dropped out of nursing school to care for him full-time after their parents died. For years, she had sung him that same lullaby. She had lost him 3 years ago. Since then, she had carried his memory quietly, silently, into every job. Nobody ever asked about her past. She was just a maid. A knock startled her. Harvey, the butler, stood at the door, posture stiff. "Mr. Cole requests that you be gone before sunset," he said evenly. "Your payment and reference will be delivered tonight." Her throat tightened. She nodded silently, zipped the suitcase, and prepared to leave. But then she heard it, Ethan's whimper. Not his hungry cry, not his playful cry. This was weaker, strained, fever-laden. Lila froze. Her instincts screamed. Before she could stop herself, she rushed into the nursery. Ethan writhed, sweat dampening his curls, breath shallow. She gasped, reaching into the crib. "Oh no, baby, it's worse." "Step away from him." Adrian's voice cut like steel. He stood at the doorway, arms crossed. "Sir, he's not okay," she said quickly, not looking at him. "His fever's higher. His breathing, it's labored. I think it's an infection. If you wait, he could seize." Adrian's anger faltered, replaced by alarm. "How do you know that?" She turned, tears brimming. "Because I've seen it before. With my brother." Her words fell heavy in the air. She confessed everything. Her unfinished nursing degree, her years caring for Elijah, the seizures, the night she prayed he'd survive until morning. Her voice broke as she whispered, "I lost him. I swore I'd never ignore a child suffering again." Ethan whimpered louder, and Adrian's facade cracked. His pride, his anger, all of it collapsed under the weight of fear for his son. Slowly, almost reluctantly, he stepped forward and placed Ethan in Lila's arms. "Do what you have to do," he whispered. "Before continue the story, please subscribe to the channel." She didn't hesitate. With practice calm, she laid Ethan against a cool cloth, gave him small sips of electrolyte solution, adjusted his position for easier breathing. Her hands moved with confidence, her eyes steady. Ethan's cries softened, his breathing slowed. By the time Dr. Rowanhale arrived, the immediate danger had passed. "Good instincts," the doctor said after examining Ethan. "A few more minutes and he might have had a febrile seizure. Whoever intervened likely made the difference." Adrian said nothing. He only looked at Lila, who sat beside Ethan's crib, stroking his curls gently. Hours later, after the doctor left and the house settled, Lila stood to leave, suitcase in hand. She assumed her redemption was temporary. Her job was gone. Her part was over. But Adrian's voice stopped her. "Don't go." She turned, stunned. "I'm sorry," he said, softer now. "I judged you without asking, without knowing. I was scared. But you saved my son." Her eyes welled. "Rosalind is retiring soon," he continued. "I need someone I can trust. Someone who cares, not just clocks in. I want you as Ethan's caregiver. And if you're willing, I'll sponsor you to finish your nursing degree." Lila's lips parted, speechless. Adrian smiled faintly. "I've seen how Ethan looks at you. You're already family to him." Her voice cracked. I don't know what to say." "Then don't," he said simply. "Just say you'll stay." Her tears fell freely as she nodded. The days that followed changed everything. Ethan thrived under Lila's care. His fevers lessened, his giggles filled the halls, and he always reached for her first. Adrian, too, began to change. He spent more time at home, more time with his son, often finding himself lingering in the nursery doorway just to watch them together. Slowly, his cold edges softened. There were whispers among the staff, speculation among business associates. What was the widowed millionaire doing, elevating a maid to such importance? But Adrian didn't care. He had learned that wealth could buy nurses, nannies, luxuries, but not love. Love required something rarer. On the morning of Ethan's first birthday, Adrian stood in the garden, watching his son crawl across the grass toward Lila. She scooped him up, laughing, the sound carrying through the air. For the first time in years, Adrian's heart felt lighter. Later, in a quiet moment, he told her, "I thought I was saving my son from a world. But you reminded me that he doesn't need walls. He needs people who love him. Her eyes softened, reflecting the same truth. From that day forward, Lila was no longer the maid. She was Ethan's guardian, Adrian's ally, and in time, something more. Proof that sometimes the people we least expect can become the ones who save us.